there's only so much renewable energy, right? So for example, the other day, SAS Power, we have 800 megawatts capacity for windmills. The other day it was producing 90. So it's, there's limited amounts, right? And even if, we want to use renewable, there's only limited amounts, right? I mean, you need base load, and that's, I guess, that's my point. So I know sometimes we're talking about all this renewable, but there's other ways, like Councillor Mancinelli mentioned, hey, let's turn the lights off. It's kind of like at my house, I turn the lights off. I give my family heck when they don't turn the lights off, or don't turn the water off, or do, basic things, right? Because I believe in saving and renewable and all those things, but then there's certain sort of the common sense kind of solutions as well, right? In terms of cost. I guess, so when we install solar panels on a building, there's a cost to put that in. There's cost to maybe replace and et cetera. Would it not be cheaper just for us to buy it right from the grid? I'm wondering, do you have an answer like that? Is it not just cheaper for us to just, instead of, just buy the electricity, get it from the grid versus, us putting panels up and servicing and all this other kind of, and then also the cost of manufacturing solar panels, because 80% of them come from China and probably made from coal. So are these things we're looking at? It's like, I just trying to think of the common sense of what we're really doing. Hey, I get using the methane from the landfill, and recycling and all these other things, but when we talk about energy, like, are we looking at the big picture? When you find it, it's nice to buy a solar panel, but what's the cost to buy it, and what's the impact, and where it's coming from, and what's the amount of energy going in, and then replacing? Because I got a friend, I know some people, for example, they have a solar farm in southeast Saskatchewan. They've run it for 5 years, not making any money, and they're actually thinking of shutting it down. So I guess the question is, back to when we install these solar panels and all this, is it not cheaper for us to buy it from the grid?
So I can start with that question, and then maybe the facilities team might have more information to add. But in terms of sourcing direct renewable energy, there aren't always many opportunities to do that. So as noted, the program that we're looking at right now, the renewable purchase offering with SAS Power, is somewhat new. There's not a lot of opportunities to source just direct renewable energy from the grid. So the grid would be basically that mix of what SAS Power is doing. In terms of the cost benefit of installing solar versus other things, that would obviously be looked at on a project by project basis, absolutely.
So we don't know, I guess we haven't analyzed, or we don't know if it's better for us just to buy it straight from the grid or to install.
City Manager Jim Nicol.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think a question that we need clarification from you, Councillor Rashovich, is when you say, would it be better to buy from the grid? Are you asking, would it be cheaper to buy?
Yeah, cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
But buying it cheaper will not address the emissions matter. So it might be it might be cheaper. But I mean, that's the whole basis of the underpinning discussion that we have, is if you want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, there may be costs involved. Right. So it may be cheaper to buy power directly from the grid, but that does nothing to address the emissions question.
I agree with you, but if we looked at the big picture of where these panels are coming from and what's the energy input to then ship them across and build them, and then after 17 years or 15, you got to replace them and et cetera. I mean, if we looked at the big picture, that was my point.
Whose question? Who's going to answer the question?
Again, I'm not sure if we've looked down the road in terms of what the costs are associated with, say, buying a panel from China, if that's indeed where it comes from. But I think it's something we can take away, that in any initiative that comes forward as a result of moving forward on on our strategy, that's a fair question that you have to look at the cost benefit analysis.
Right.
But we also cannot, if we're going to stick with council's directive on moving to 2050, net zero, you have to keep your eye on the ball of what is it doing
But-
for emissions.
Right.
So
Right.
it ultimately will come down to a decision on, is council's focus on the policy objectives of a net zero? Or is it focused more on the attached financial impact, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent? I think it's just a public
Yeah.
policy question that
Right.
all councils moving forward are gonna have to struggle with, here and across the world, I think.
But then we're being kind of blind to try to get the net zero by buying and doing things that maybe being net zero, you know, depending where you're getting the panels and where they're coming from and how they're being made, and incorporating that in as part of the solution, is that net zero? I guess that's a question you have to ask. Is that is that becoming net zero when you're buying panels and you're buying product from something that's being made from coal? And I'm just throwing that out there because, hey, it really looks good on the surface, but if you start digging in, looking into it, well, maybe it's not. And there's other solutions to try to get to net zero, right? Like maybe sidewalks on one side of the road, instead of pouring concrete sidewalks on two sides of the road. You know, other simple solutions that we can do as a city as well. Anyways, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.